All right, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I want to do a video that's kind of going to sound like a little bit of a rant, but also some things that really need to be said. Okay. Those of you who are aware of what a cult is, I'm going to just kind of give you that definition right now. Uh, the occult is a group of people that study the arcane, magic, okay, sorcery, in all levels. Whereas a cult, think of Charles Manson, okay, and his little family, okay. Now, I want to take us back to the late 80s, early 90s, real fast, when Charles Manson and his family went on that killing spree, okay. Because of Charles Manson's association with the Church of Satan, everybody assumed that every single crime that was committed, a Satanist was behind it, okay. Like the accusations during the burning times, or that of the political upheaval in European traditions, ranging as far back as the witch trials, the Crusades, the Renaissance. It's all a power play, okay, basically, and it's a political stance in a lot of sense. But in 32 years of practice, I have never seen anything like this, okay, and this is why. I got underneath YouTube earlier today, and it was kind of interesting because of the fact that the first video I saw was a video of a kid, a child, roughly about 18 to 20 years of age, on trial for a double murder from England. Okay, and the kid was supposedly an American. Okay, now according to this article, okay, and I should correct myself right here because it wasn't a YouTube video, it was actually the news outlet. And you can look underneath Google for this as well. And it was interesting because of the fact that they found seals. After a month of investigating, they arrested this kid. You know, they found demonic seals, sigils, and stuff like this. A pact, okay, at least a half-assed written pact, I should say. And it was signed in blood, human blood, okay? Now, things that they pointed out was that this individual made a pact with Lucifer's Raphael. And it clearly stated that he would only sacrifice women, okay? Whereas some of the other things were kind of normal, you know, wealth, power, stuff like that, things that people in the occult really seek out, you know? You know, we seek this stuff out. It's the ability to manipulate everything around you, not only within you, but outside of you, to create your own world, okay, your own domain. Kind of like that old expression, you know, a man will leave his mother and father and cleave unto his own wife, and they shall become one flesh. You know, think of that kind of declaration as building your own world. Okay, you are shaping it. Okay, you're bringing the people together that you want to attract. Okay, and then you start adding on to this. Okay, you're building a home, you're building a career, you're putting down roots. Okay, this is the type of stuff that an occultist would do. Okay, but here's the thing. According to the news article about this kid, there were two foundations that this kid was heavily into. Okay, to the point of obsession. One was the Temple of Blood. Okay, and this group was basically, if you look into this group, they are nothing more than children. Okay, nothing more than a radical group, a cult, not the occult, but a cult. of children with weapons. Okay, so think of this group as, best way I can describe it would be, let's go with a mini little ISIS group. Okay, that's the best way I can describe it, as the ISIS wannabes. Okay, these little kids that think they can pick up a gun and wage a war against an institution, or institutions worldwide that is really not going to go anywhere. Okay, I just think of how many political upheavals and all the, all those false scandals just got beat down. That's basically what's going to happen to these kids, anyways. But it's either that, if they're either going to get arrested, or they're going to just basically die and get bored and move on. Okay. So, anyways, so the first group that was mentioned by this news outlet and the local law enforcement in England was the Temple of Blood. Okay. Now, personally, I have to say this. I don't know much about the Temple of Blood. I really don't. So I can't really speak too much on it. Just from what I've read online over the last hour, they really are one of those type of groups that's really not going to be around much. And that's just my personal observation. Now, the second group is how to become a living God. Okay. And according to the journalist, this kid had made this pact, clearly stated out what he was looking for, what he wanted, what he was willing to do, all this stuff. Okay. Now they also found out he was heavily influenced by E.A. Wedding's group. Okay. Now, I can tell you firsthand that I know a number of different people that own E.A. Wedding's books. Hell, I own quite a few myself. Okay. Go ahead, Keshen, 86. I'll get to it in just a minute. So, anyways, you don't see 99.9% of these people in his chat groups going around slaughtering people, committing crimes. That's the same thing with Satanism. One of the things that this journalist literally brought up was the left-hand path, Satanism. Left-hand path, Satanism. Okay? That's what this journalist brought up. Okay? And it was interesting because, first of all, I've been a Satanist for 32 years. 32 years. I was 11 years old when I got into this. When I started getting into witchcraft and devil worship, getting into Satanism, I started out with Anton Zandalave's Bible, just like everybody else, before moving into groups like the Order of the Nine Angles, getting into theistic Satanism, getting into Luciferian Satanism, okay, getting into spiritual Satanism, before finally ending up in traditional Satanism, okay? Now, keep in mind, this is not the only path that I follow, okay? I have also followed vampiric practices, voodoo, Santeria, Pedo Mayambi, okay? And I've spoken on this stuff in the past, so I'm not going to get too much into that. My point is that 99.9% of practitioners are not going around killing people. They're not going around planning to slaughter half the fucking nation. Okay? In fact, they're law-abiding citizens. It doesn't matter what country they're in. They're law-abiding citizens. But that doesn't mean that you don't have certain individuals out there who are trying to make trouble. Okay? We all know that recently How to Become a Living God had a major implosion, so to speak. Curtis Joseph, from what I understand, left. They're being attacked by Ed Morrow, aka Papa Smoke, you know, and you, and then you got, E.A. Quetting getting online and tossing books out a window into the bed of a truck, you know. So something went down. And it was funny because of the fact that, like I said, I've read E.A. Quetting's books. I've seen all his videos that he's done. Not once did he tell people to go out and slaughter. Nowhere in his videos or his content that he put forth does he say sacrifice humanity. No. What he does speak on is the sacrifice of self. This means bloodletting techniques, which have been used throughout centuries, long before the JCI even was heard of. Okay? And this is stuff associated with vampirism. It is stuff that's been associated with demonolatry. It is stuff that's been around with necromancy practices and the likes. Okay? So, I mean, this is bloodletting and sacrificing, animal sacrificing, this stuff is nothing new. If you get into, for an example, cannibalism, okay, you got a lot of freaking laws right here in the United States alone that protects corpses. But yet, cannibalism is not one of them. It's actually legal. Did you know that? No. Apparently you didn't, because you didn't look into this shit. So, anyways, as I was saying, Christianity has slaughtered numerous people throughout the ages. Nobody rose up against them for being cruelty to humans, cruelty to humans. You get into the human rights aspect of everything. You don't see them being held accountable for what the fuck they've done over the years. Okay? I'm talking burning people at the stake. I'm talking drowning people because they believed they were witches. Torturing people because they believed it was a threat to the king. Okay? This shit's still going on. Just like racism. This shit is still fucking going on. But nobody talks about that. Nobody goes after Christianity and says, well, we need to run Christians off the fucking platforms, social media, for all the wrongs they've done to humanity. No. Somebody gets found with a book of witchcraft. Oh my fucking God. It is a devil worshipping cult that is sacrificing humanity. That's the first thing that ever comes to mind. When are you guys going to just get off your fucking asses, pick up a fucking book, and actually read the fucking thing? Instead of just going, oh, by the way, I have a book right here. This is a devil worshipping book. You know what I'm saying? Or, wait, the devil's water. Don't drink it. You'll go to hell. Okay? You don't see people going after things like that. But no, they see a book. They see, just because they're Christians, they can talk smack about anybody. And they get away with it. They get away with it. So I just want to kind of bring something to your attention here. This is everything I have on bulk. Everything. And that's just in book form. Okay? I have more in PDF. Nowhere in these books did E.A. Quetting or his associates say that you have to go out and murder people. Nowhere in his works does it say that you have to go out there and fucking, slice and dice an animal. No. One video showed him walking through the woods and he came upon a carcass. What did he do? So obviously, same thing a lot of us would do is just take the bones from the dead animal. It's already dead. It's not going to need it. It's just going to rot away anyways. Might as well use it for your rituals. These things have been done for hundreds of thousands of years. Long before Christianity, long before Catholicism, long before Zoroastrianism, going as far back as Sanskrit, Saudi Arabia, ancient Arabic nations, ancient civilizations and cultures. Okay, I'm talking the first dynasty of Egypt. I'm talking Proto-German. I'm talking the old school world. Okay, but nobody knows this stuff because nobody's willing to learn. Okay, so the first book I'm going to show you is The Grimoire of Abaddon. This is the 9 Demonic Gatekeepers, book 4. Okay, I've read this. Basically, it's a personal journey into the pit, personal destruction. Okay, basically, the first thing you learn in necromancy is the sacrificing of self. Basically, getting rid of your ego, building your foundation upon rock, not upon sand. Okay, built for tomorrow, not for today or yesterday, but for all time. Okay, that's the first thing you got to understand. King Belial. Okay, 9 Demonic Gatekeepers, book 1. This one here, anybody who's ever done their research into him knows that he's a gatekeeper. He bestows titles of importance. Okay, he's found in the Goetia in many grimoires. This particular one is very interesting. Now, those of you who are not familiar with Abaddon, his Greek name is Apollyon. He is not known just as an angel of the bottomless pit within the Bible, because that's as far as most people go with his mythology. If you actually get into his mythology, you'll notice that he's not just an angel. There's also a place known as Apollyon. It is the underworld. It is a place, not just an angel. Okay? Kind of like hell, Hel. It's not just a goddess of the underworld, but it's also the land of the dead. Okay? In Norse mythology. If you actually do your homework, you would know this shit. Okay? The Book of Ryman. This is Curtis Joseph's book. Okay? Now, I'm not a big fan of the fact that he's throwing his entire career away by aligning himself with Ed Mara. I'm not really giving two shits about him, leaving Bulk behind. That's his personal choice. Just like it's Ed Mara's choice to attack everybody. But here it is. This book here, nothing but fucking history, from Zoroastrianism to Mesopotamian traditions, even Babylonian, Sumerian, Akkadian, anything you want to know about Ryman, this is the book that you'd want to have. Okay? It was very well written. I enjoyed it, just like I enjoyed these other two. They were basically, if you think about E.A. Koetting's books, I want you to think of them like, let's go with more like a personal story, like you would tell a child. Okay? But in this case, it's more adult. Okay? I have Dante Abiel's book of necromancy, necromantic sorcery. This one here has gates. It has serpent's blood, the elixir of death's manifestation. This is basically you're using India ink or some form of ink, and you're dropping herbs and your own blood into it. Of course, a lot of people just look at something like that and go, oh my God, you're sacrificing humans or you're sacrificing animals. Have you not read the Bible? Again, just saying. So his book was pretty interesting in itself, dealing with necromancy. I kind of liked that one, but some of it seemed a little far-fetched. And then you have a young pup who's a husband and a father. His name is Connor Kendall. Again, another book from How to Become a Living God. Okay? I'm still reading this book. I'm about 3/4 of the way through. And This one here is full of seals. It's full of demonolatry, working with beings like Santa Morte, Azazel, Azrael, you know, and a whole bunch of others. Very well put. Talks a lot about putting an altar of death together, how to perform rites of necromancy, and the whole kit and caboodle. Really enjoyed his book so far. In fact, I'd actually recommend his book. Okay? And then you've got this big ass book right here. Okay? You'll thick book. And this one here has 8 books to it. It's got the Kingdom of Flames. I was not a fan of the Kingdom of Flames. I thought he could have done a lot better with that book. The Kingdoms of Flames reminds me of a child's bedtime story, the way it was written. But everything from the works of darkness to Baneful's magic, Evoking Eternity, the Spider and the Green Butterfly. You got Questing After Visions, Ipsimus. Now, personally, Ipsimus, I couldn't really get into. There's just something about that. I think there's a lot missing from that book. And then you have the Book of Azazel, the Grimoire of the Damned. And this is in the complete works. Okay? Now, here it is. Okay? I've read all of these. Nowhere in his books does he tell you to go out and murder people. Nowhere in the books does it say you have to go out and murder animals. Nothing. What the news crews are reporting is simply half-assed truth. A kid was found with occult symbols. Oh my fucking God, really? That's it? So you're tying him to both E.A. Quetting and the Temple of Blood and, demonolatry? What are we going to do? Go on another witchcraft, act type things? Another witch trials? Maybe another burning times? Anyway, technically we're long overdue. I mean, you consider, the 1937, 1939 is when the Witchcraft Act was disbanded. 1980, late 80s, early 90s was the Satanic Panic. We're now in 2021. Let's have a Black Magic Panic. Okay? Just saying. So, I was messaged earlier, just a little bit ago, and now we have sign a petition. The removal of company Become a Living God from mainstream social media platforms. Okay? Number one, if you sign something like that and you live in America, shame on you. Okay? And I'll tell you why. Because right there, you're in violation of the First Amendment. This is federal law. He has a foundation. He has a following. And he has scripture. These are the 3 things that make up a protected religion. Okay? Second of all, he has hundreds of thousands of followers worldwide. Okay? If you don't like what somebody's doing, there's a little thing called block user. And I believe it's right up at the top of the screen there underneath those 3 little dot thingies, if I remember correctly. Okay? Use it. Okay? In fact, you don't have to go out there and buy it. In fact, you don't even have to follow that group. Okay? Now, personally, a lot of what E.A. Quetting has actually put forth actually speaks truth. I've researched these areas myself. The missing language, the language that he supposedly found, looks more like nomad to me, but it's there. Okay? So, all you people suddenly hating Balg because some kid decided to go on a murdering rampage, where the fuck were you when Charles Manson was doing his thing? Where the fuck were you when Hitler did his thing? In fact, what about Napoleon? What about Julius Caesar? What about Alexander the Great? What about the Crusades, the Renaissance, the witch trials, the Burning Act? Where the fuck were you stepping up for this shit? Oh, that's right. You wouldn't do that anyways. It means stepping on fucking toes. You know what I'm saying? It means you're going to be stepping on toes. I can't do that. I'm going to be going against the church. Oh, fuck this shit. I actually have to be that one fish that goes against the stream. Just roll pair. So, anyways, as promised, I want to just take a second. Just noticed that Keshin86 posted his question, and I did mention that I would answer it. And I'll get to you too, brother Bohemoth, in just a second. I saw a statue of Baphomet in my dream. 2 statues of Baphomet. Someone was trying to throw the statues away, but I wanted to keep the statues. I felt happy in the dream. Any meaning of this dream? Well, first of all, I don't do dream sorcery. That's oneomancy. That's one thing I never got into. I used to have a friend that did that type of stuff, but he turned out to be a fake and a betrayer anyway, so I won't even bother even repeating the guy's name. He was a storyteller and a con man. But by the sound of just what you've written, perhaps the spirit is trying to tell you something. And do you have two types of Bophemets that you're looking at? Maybe something behind it is calling to you. You may want to look into it. Baphomet is, Baphomet is a guardian of the underworld. Think the demon form of Cerberus, okay, in Greek mythology. He's the guardian of the underworld. And it's, so I mean, not just something that the Knights of Templar actually worshipped, okay? Although there's a TV show that's called Nightfall that actually, the church actually tried framing the Knights of Templar in that show. So don't get that mixed up with actual reality. They were actually employees of the church. They were the personal army. They were known as the guardians of the crossroads, basically. They made sure that people got from point A to point B safely. They didn't just fight in the Crusades, first, second, and third Crusades in the Middle East, right up until they were literally obliterated and disbanded. But my guess would be that you have something, or you're desiring something that surrounds him. That's the best thing I can tell you on that one. I would recommend you look into it. Mr. Zombie. Yeah, you consider this type of stuff has been used in voodoo as well, not just black magic and other forms of sorcery. You consider, if you look at Palo, for example, both Monty and Palo Mayumbi, they're known as people of the sticks. Their altars are made up of wood and animal bones, not just daggers such as machetes and stuff like that, human skulls. You got voodoo, for an example. I've seen voodoo videos and ceremonies that show them cutting the heads off dogs and the blood just goes all over the altars. Okay? I've seen this stuff. I've watched these videos myself. So, I mean, this stuff here is nothing, again, is nothing new. It's nothing new. Okay? And it's interesting because bone sorceries, bone readings are associated with divination. Skulls are associated as portals and gateways. So, and to the nexus and the spiritual realms. So that's something that, a lot of people don't realize either. Even if you go into the book of Leviticus, the book of the law within the Bible, you're going to go into, say, for an example, the Jewish ritual of Yom Kippur. and you're going to see the human sacrifice, or not the human sacrifices, but the animal sacrifices. You look at their altar, okay, the tabernacle. You're going to see how the animal was disemboweled. The carcass burned, the entrails left on the altar to rot. The blood was actually put in a vase and placed upon the inner altar room. Okay, so this stuff is nothing new. I mean, even the sacrifice and the casting of lots, for an example. If you get into this aspect, you have the unblemished one that was literally the one that I just spoke on, disemboweled, ripped apart, burned, carcass, the whole kit and caboodle. And then you have what happens to the blemished one. Okay, the blemished one was actually sent out into the wilderness, but at least that's the way the story goes in the Bible. But like I said, when you get into the Yom Kippur ritual, okay, you got people on a extremely rocky terrain going down over a cliff at certain intervals to see how far that animal actually got before it could not go any further. I'm talking, you're looking at an animal that's being cut up by the rocks, okay? Bones and muscles and tendons being severed by these sharp rocks. This was their right, their rituals that they did. But yet, nobody fucking reports on this shit. And they do it even today. Okay? You get all these Southern Baptists which are using snakes and then wonder, oh my fucking God, I must not be holy enough because I just got bit by a fucking rattlesnake. It's like, dude, use your fucking head. Seriously. Number one, you wouldn't catch me messing with a fucking rattlesnake. Okay? Or any venomous snake. And if I was, I'd be more responsible than having it wrapped around your arm, waving it around. But that's the point, These, people just don't think. They don't stop and think. They don't do their own homework. They don't go out and go, okay, this is what's being said. Let's get into this. Let's see what does this lead. Okay? No. All of a sudden, you got to freaking anal rape somebody because of the fact that, this guy was on the forum of how to become a living god. His data shows that he was heavily into this group. That doesn't mean E.A. Koetting or his foundation is responsible for this kid's actions. Okay? Let me put it to you this way. You go back a few years back, there was actually an uproar. I can't remember the name of the town right off. It was down in, I want to say, Missouri area. And it was a white cop and a 13-year-old black kid. This kid chose to pull a weapon on an officer, and the officer put the kid down. Instead of seeing that for what it was, you ended up with a full-on riot. You come forth to 2020, okay? You see the same shit happen, except for a different method, okay? In this case, these officers were wrong, okay? They were just plain wrong. They actually had them on video. They had them on candid camera, the whole shit and caboodle, okay? And the guy got multiple life sentences. Why? Because he was wrong for what he did. He committed manslaughter as a cop. And half the country was up in uproar while the other half was burning. So again, you see how people, just from one instance, one single act, can turn into a fucking shit show. Okay? Stop and think. Before you do anything. Because 9 times out of 10, the organizations you're trying to slander or the people you're trying to slander is innocent. Like I said, what did I name off earlier? Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, Napoleon, Adolf Hitler, Biden. You see my point there? Yeah. Where were you when this shit went down? Did you step up? No. Did you speak up? No. But wait, a 19-year-old kid kills two women in a park, gets arrested for it. They find occult stuff on him, and you just jump into every other area. No facts, no research, no nothing. This is basically all this is another witch hunt. And now a petition. Pathetic people. See, this is why I don't get involved in the world. It's why I don't get into the world. My better half is constantly trying to tell me I need to get into the 21st century. I need to step into the modern day, get to know the technology. I don't want to get into the technology, and I don't want to step into the modern day. There's nothing in today's world that interests me. In fact, over the last couple of years, I've really been stepping back from society. I've been going into spiritual worlds, practices of necromancy, Satanism, devil worship, practicing, researching, experimenting, and communing with spirits. This shit doesn't matter to me. I had a former coworker that I let use my phone one day. She came to me 4 hours later and asked me if I had found my phone yet. I looked right at her and I said, was I supposed to look for it? You see that her little trick of hiding it on me backfired because she realized technology doesn't mean shit to me. It doesn't mean anything. Most of the customers that I see from my job, they don't even remember me. They don't even remember the people that work at Dunkin'. They come through. Doesn't matter how rude they are. Doesn't matter how annoying they are. They just pile shit on knowing that, oh, you're only dealing with 3 people. You're just 3 people working with 70 cars an hour. That's roughly about 8 drinks per vehicle. That's if you're lucky. A lot of people, they order 1 drink, 1 sandwich, gone. But some of these people come in, they take forever, wasting people's time, asking stupid questions when they're clearly going to get something else. You see my point there. Why are we in such a bad mood? You have an attitude problem. Then stop being stupid. Today, I took my family out. We went to Dice Arts. This is a truck stop, one of the area's best burger joints. Okay, they got a lot of different types of meals. The waitress, she came up and she says, "You work at Dunkin', right? Over on such and such street?" I go, "Yeah." She says, "You're the nice one." I'm like, okay. But you see the point. 1%. 1% get it. 1%. Everybody else just joins in. 99% of the occult community aren't real practitioners. They're just dabblers. That 1% sticks up. They step up to the plate. Right here. You take Bohemian X for an example. Great brother. He's a brother of mine. Got a lot of respect for this man. Definitely envious and jealous of his altar rooms setups, but my point is that he's a real practitioner. He's a real practitioner, just like myself. E.A. Coetic goes out and he literally puts the content forth. And a lot of people hate him. I can tell you that over the last 2 months, I've been called an antichrist, the devil, a demon. I've been called evil just because I dared to speak up on certain topics. Does it mean that I'm a serial killer? No. Does it mean that I'm associated with these punks that are going around shooting shit up and murdering people? No. It's the same thing with E.A. Quetting. It's the same thing with Aslan F. Mason and Bill Dubendag, J.S. Garrett and his wife. They literally go out there and they put the content forth. They show their rituals. They show everything. So if you went underneath Amazon, for an example, and you typed in J.S. Garrett, or you type in, say for an example, J.D. Temple, okay, you're going to see their rituals. In fact, why don't you get underneath Bohemoth X's, channel? You're going to see an actual ritual being taken place. Do you see animal sacrifice? No. Do you see human sacrifice? No. In fact, what you do see is him taking an athame and drawing just a little bit of blood out of his own finger. Bloodletting, blood sorcery. Welcome to occultism. Welcome to black magic. Okay? So to sit there and go from what's going on over in England, seeing where their investigation has led, just because a group doesn't want to reply, doesn't mean they don't care. Okay? E.A. Quetting has an enterprise that he's running. Okay? I call it an enterprise because he's got so much content that he's doing. They just had a massive implosion over the last few weeks. Hell, over the last couple of weeks, really. They're a little bit disorientated, They're trying to get back on their feet after all this. So you have to excuse them for not stepping up and going, oh, by the way, yeah, we had nothing to do with that kid's actions. Yeah. You'll have to excuse that because, like I said, they got more important shit to do. And it's funny because it doesn't matter who you are. Once you step into the spotlight, you basically become a target. You become a target. It is what it is. Welcome to the shit show called public life. Have you ever noticed how all these celebrities out there simply don't want to deal with shit? You don't really hear much about most of them. Personally, I was surprised to hear that Keanu Reeves actually, he takes public transportation. A woman backed into his motorcycle, and he just, don't worry about it. Don't even write her up. Just let her go. And it's like, this is the type of celebrity that I like. Okay? He's cool. So I'm trying to get a lot of people posting on here, so I'm trying to go back here and see what's going on. Stuck in the deep 555. First of all, I don't swing that way, bub. As far as I'm concerned, Jesus Christ can sit and rotate on my pink stick. Church never did anything good for this world and still hasn't, as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. Edgy. Wow. So I'm going to read this one because this one's actually pretty good. Stuck in the Deep says, why do you Satanists choose to be so edgy? Curious. With a smiley face. No clue, bub. I can't speak for anyone else. You know, I just go with what, for me personally, I just go with what, suits me personally. But not all Satanists are the same. Men like gods, stuck in the deep. It's not about being edgy or cool. It is merely doing the things which please these entities. That's actually true. Uh, oh, now we've gone into hand gestures. Cool. Uh, See, this is what I'm talking about right here. Apparently, a lot of people are shocked when you say, the occult attracts the insane. I mean, it's there. You look at how many people Ed Morrow has slandered, and people allow it and they accept his lies at face value, even though it's been disproved on social media and in live videos. So, just hit my computer. Apologize for that. Assortic fraud. Yes, I like EA Coetting. It's a solid contribution instead of keeping things needlessly undiscussed. Correct. Technicians USA, welcome back to the channel. Wow, haven't seen you for a couple of videos. Glad you're still around. Kano is a G? What? Okay, you'll have to forgive me. I'm not really up to date with a lot of these terminologies, these modern day slangs and stuff. I'm so far out of it, I don't even begin to, try to understand it. Let's see. So, anyways, yeah, so I wanted to kind of get in here before things, just started hitting the fan, so to speak. There's an old expression, when the shit hits the fan. Well, I mean, you look at how things get out of hand so easily. You know, things like this always gets out of hand easily because people just grab it and run. I know this firsthand. I've already discussed certain things that have been said about myself. I've rebuked it, and it's become fallacy at this point. And yet, you got a couple of people. Yeah, you still got about 20 years before you catch up to me, bub. Literally about 20 years. So, my point is this: do your homework. Don't accept things at face value. Things that have already been proven fallacy. Things that have already been proven to be a lie. Okay? It's already out there. Why do you want to continue carrying that shit around? A man who does not learn from history is doomed to repeat it. Look at Ed Morrow, aka Papa Joke. You know, we, I'm still, I still have no idea where that came from. Papa Joke. I know a couple of people actually put that shit out there, but personally, I don't get it. I really don't. But now that I've seen Ed Morrow for who he is, and what he's about, yeah, I get it now. So I mean, my point is, with everything going against Bald right now, everything don't don't buy into the fucking hype. Okay, don't get into that hype. It has nothing to do with you. Just stay the fuck out of it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. When people just start taking shit and running without getting the backdrop, that's when the shit hits the fan, and then you sit there and go, I might want to apologize for that shit, So when you take things out of context and you go and assume shit is going on, that's, to quote an old movie by Steven Seagal, assumptions are the mother of all fuck-ups. Okay? Plain and simple right there. So when you look at this shit, that's basically what's going on. Okay? You start off with a criminal act. Oh, look, the investigation shows this person was heavily influenced by such and such a group. Okay, let's investigate this group. But then people in the community get a hold of it, and it's like, bam, a new witch hunt. Don't fucking get into that shit, man. That's all I'm saying. Don't get into that bullshit. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with these organizations. And like I said, in these books alone, and the PDFs I have, because I also have the ones with the essays from various different authors in PDF format. Nowhere in here does it say anything about human or animal sacrifices. It wasn't until these two books came out that you have. Let me get in here real fast. I'm gonna do this one from Ken Connor's book as well, and they'll go into Dante's. All right, cleansing the blade. Okay, that's not the one I want. All right, here we go. On page 24, the nexus of death urn. Okay, large black garden urn, large amounts of graveyard dirt and soil, human bone powder, champagne oil, frankincense oil, animal sacrifice, menses or semen, mandrake root, lancet or blade suitable for bloodletting, 3 black candles, pedestal and motor, and red wine. Okay? Go into Dante's book. All right, let's go to page 35. Human skull. Page 36. Femur. Kundalini definition. You know, page 37. Vertebrae. List of body parts. Brain, heart, liver, kidneys, skin. Go on to the next page. Fetish links. The meditation of the old crone. Okay? So right there, when you look at just that alone, does it mean that they've gone out and murdered somebody? No. Does it mean they went out and committed an act of grave robbing, which is a misdemeanor at best, with roughly about $1,000 to $2,000 fine in most countries? No. Did you know that there are actually companies out there that sell these items? Probably not, because again, you didn't do your own homework. So yeah. So this is what I'm saying. You go into a ritual or you go into a black mass from, say, let's say, for example, you come from the Christian part of things. It's going to be a little odd, isn't it? Going from that Christian-based lifestyle that you so hold on to. And yes, stuck in the deep. I'm picking on you on this one because I want to I basically want to make a point here. You are given everything. Every church I've ever been to, the pastor decides when you get a job. The pastor decides who you marry. The pastor decides this and that. You basically can't take a shit and wipe your own ass without the pastor say so. Welcome to Christianity. Welcome to the Pharisees. Okay? So you leave that. You leave that setting, that atmosphere. It doesn't matter if you're apostolic, Pentecostal. It doesn't matter if you're Jehovah's Witness or Catholic. I know a lot of people that hate the Catholics right now, namely because of what's going on up in Canada. You go into, let's go into the Nazarenes. You look at everything that's going on there. You're referred to as a number, just like in the Catholics. You're referred to as a number. You're not a name. You're just a number. Such and such a number did not pay their tithes today. It's all about money. Okay? So I want you to look at that and go for just a moment. Now, let's say, for example, you decide to leave Christianity. Now you go into the occult. But instead of opening your mind to that culture, to this culture, okay, it's a whole nother religion. It's a whole nother philosophy. You don't lay down and you don't prostrate. You don't cry. You don't bitch about this or that, and you don't beg to a fucking god for shit. Okay? Here, you go in, you watch the incense being lit. You hear the chanting, the bells ringing. Watch people go in. A satanic black mass, you have the human altar, be it male or female, depending on which gender's doing the ceremony. You have the prayers being read. You have the summonings, the petitionings. You have the quiver. You have the phallus. You have the black book. You have all this stuff being surrounded. And when the magistrate or the black pope, the black pope says something, all of a sudden all the followers would speak up and repeat it because they're all in one accordance, one mind. They're going for that one particular outcome, whatever it is that happened just before they went in, because whoever's doing that right would let them know this is what's going to happen. This is what we're going for. Now, you take, for an example, the Satanic Temple, okay? The Satanic Temple is basically what we refer to as reverse Christians. These are people that really hold true to that worldly shit. They go for it. Okay, they're out there making a splash, and every so often you get a newsletter going, oh, by the way, we need emergency funding. We've kind of stretched our shit out way too fucking far, and now we just can't do shit because we need money to help continuing this fight. But I'm also not going to sit here and say, okay, just because of what they're doing hasn't made an example for everyone. It's just the fact that the terminology, our members, not the entire community of Satanism, but our members, okay, takes place. And you go to the Church of Satan, it's the exact same fucking thing, playing the bad guy to the church. But when you get actual practitioners that come forth and show you what they're doing, putting these rites, calling on devils and demons, say, for example, in a personalized ritual, it is your unique will that's being put out. In a ceremony, it's everybody's. It's collective. Everybody's on the same page at that point. So if you're working a necromantic rite and you're using demonolatry, obviously you want to go with murmur, Belphegor, or not Belphegor, but Bilfrin, okay, murmur, and because they got two different aspects of necromancy, and it's very interesting how they work in your life. When I came to the path that I'm on now, I made one small petition, just one small petition, and I watched. Within 2 months time frame, my boss had a heart attack. He was out for like 4 months. 4 months. He had a heart attack and a triple bypass. I watched all these people that were more experienced than me just get up and get done. And to this day, they still cannot get their shit together and actually get a full crew. To this day. All because of that one little petition. You're watching these spirits working behind the scenes. When you go to church, do you ever see this? Or anything that you ask? I need a job. I have literally watched apostolics spend 2-3 hours prostrated, just right in front of the pulpit, begging God to open up the doors. Get me that job. Get me that new house. I need that new boiler. Never fucking happens. But yet you do one small rite with black magic, and you get it for months. You see, that's my point. This is the difference of perceptions. Started in England, and now people are attacking bald. You got two individuals that suddenly just started attacking bald. One has it out for anybody that he doesn't agree with. Calls them names, and the rumors and the fucking everything that he says just gets more and more outlandish. And then you get the implosion there, like I said. But nobody gets into it. Nobody does their homework. Nobody gets in with an open mind. It's when you leave that shit at the fucking door, only then can you proceed with an open mind and a humble heart and begin learning from the spirits themselves. If I told you half the things I've witnessed working with demons, things I've seen, I mean, things that's happened in my own life, you'd literally be sitting there going, what the fuck? I don't get that shit working with Jesus Christ. I don't get that shit working with these white light path workings. Hell, my ASM is a Christian. She turned around one day. I'm sitting there doing a fucking storm spell, right in fucking work. It's funny as all hell. She hates it when I do that. You feel the cold spots, certain intervals throughout that store. My apprentice, his life has gotten a lot better. My apprentices, their lives have gotten better because I've shown them the history and the mythology and the folklore. I've given them the tools that will benefit them through their own heritage, their own lineage. But people don't do this shit. They don't learn. It's all about popularity. It's about numbers. It's about going with the herd. Nobody wants to go against the herd. And that's why most of you are a fucking joke. Just saying. That's where most of you are jokes. You want to be in the magical systems, but yet you want to be in the world too. It don't work like that. It don't fucking work that way. I can't tell you how many times I've spoken on the fact that I've tried being here and I've tried being there. It don't work. Eventually, you're going to have to choose left or right. Obviously, I chose left, and I've benefited from it. But I'm not going out there blaspheming everybody that I disagree with. Just those that's made it personal, in my opinion. Like Ed Morrow. He made it personal. For some reason, he's got a hard-on for me. Just like he's got a hard-on for E.A. Coetti. Just like he's got a hard-on for anybody who doesn't see his own way. He doesn't agree with it. You be nice to the guy. Let him, respect his own decisions. Oh, you're a pedo, you're this, you're that, whatever. That's what you get hit with. And it's all about this. Every time this guy speaks up, it's always about money. And what's ironic is that he's now got other people claiming that their accounts are being hacked. Seems to happen a lot with you, Ed. Just saying. Seems to be a lot of drama in your department. But I can tell you this. If I had to choose between you and E.A. Coetti, I would choose E.A. Coetti over you any day. Just saying. At least he's real. Second of all, don't get involved in the world. Don't get involved in the fucking world. If you want to practice sorcery, don't fucking get into the world. Do you forget about all the grimoires that tells you point blank that magi, mages, sages, practitioners have locked themselves away for years at a time to master the arcane? I'm just saying. Why do you think all these top practitioners have their own YouTube channels? And they're making shit happen. I mean, I just got I got a report yesterday that said I was one subscriber away from 500. 500. It's like, why do you keep sending me this shit? I don't care. I really don't care how many subscribers I get. I don't care if people like my stuff or they don't. You come to me because you want to learn. You want to grow. That's up to you. I give you the material. I give you mentions of things. What did I just do here? All these little books. I've literally, I keep looking over here. I moved the bookshelf from there over there. It's a force of habit looking over here. Because now my son's bookcase is over there along with his toys. So let me point to the right direction now. Right over here. Right down here. And right behind this wall. On the other side of this wall are bookcases full of books. I've spent thousands of dollars on books. I have my own personal library that I've studied. And I'm still buying more. That should be an indicator. Compared from the fakes, the wannabes, the armchair magicians, to those who are true. And yes, there's an old expression that keeps popping up every so often. Those who cannot do, teach. It is kind of funny, though. I will give it that one. I will give you that one. Because that is kind of funny. But the thing is, I don't just do the magic. That was my familiar. That's my baby girl. Right there. Come here, sweetie. Come here. Yeah. This little girl's been with me for 7 years, about 7, 8 years, since I lived in Texas. That's right, you heard it. I lived in Texas. I also lived in Tucson, too, before that. And to be fair, I do miss Tucson. I really do. That's where I was initiated into Pedro Mayumbi and Santeria. I miss that community. Don't miss the police cars or the choppers, though. That was 24/7. But still, my point is, like I said, learn the difference between real and fake. Learn the difference between how should I say this? Fact and fiction. Okay? If you get underneath, say, Google, or you get underneath one of those, god damn it. For some reason Messenger wanted to pop up. So anyways, yeah, I'm a real computer genius. Wow. I can't even stay on one screen here. So anyways, when you get underneath one of those news apps, okay, you know, the ones that show you the local, the articles that were meant for you, or you get underneath the world type news, and you see something like this, don't buy into it, okay? Because it's just a fishing expedition at that point. Now you watch within, say for an example, within the next month or so, you're going to see another article about this kid or that group, that, you know, the Temple of Blood, okay, group. The what do they call that? The left-hand path Satanism. These were the three things that were actually discussed and mentioned within the article. But it was actually two main groups that were focused around it, and that was how to become a living God and the Temple of Blood. So just because something's linked into it doesn't mean make it so. Now, I've already seen a huge implement of people trying to get Bog, you know, put off the air. I've seen a lot of people rise up and start questioning what's going on here. We're getting ready to go into another pandemic of Black Lives Matter, or in this case, Black Magicians' Lives Matter, I should say, in this case. And you already got people jumping in on the bandwagon. So before you decide to jump in on this bandwagon, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about what was said here. And this is my own personalized views here as a practitioner of 32 years. 32 years. I guarantee it, if you went to Alistair Notch underneath his forum, right here on YouTube, and you asked these questions, or you went under, say, Serpent of the Grails, Frank White's, you know, account, you know, his YouTube channel, and you, during one of his live videos, and you asked some of the questions that I just, you know, things that I just brought up, I guarantee it, he would say the same. That both of these men would do the same. If you went underneath, if you contacted the Temple of Ascending Flame, which is Bill Duvendak and Asenath Mason forum, okay, and you asked them about what do you think about the link between this kid who was heavily into E.A. Quetting's forums and that of the ritualized murder that he did, I guarantee it, they're going to look right at you and say the exact same thing I say. You go to, you know, my brother Behemoth X, he'll probably do one of two things, either just overlook it or not even reply. But if he did reply, I guarantee it, he would say the exact same thing I did. So Just keep that in mind, okay? Don't buy into shit that's you read in the paper because 99% of it's bullshit. And I know that more than anybody because of my family's history. But yeah, I mean, my mother, she actually, I'm going to tell you a story. And even the woman that raised me said that she can't be that stupid. And it's like, yep, she's that stupid. Right underneath the phone at a prison where my brother was, and talking about drugs and how to get into him and his friends. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And this was like 10 years. It was like 5, 10 years ago. And it's like, what the hell? And then people wonder, why do you not want anything to do with your family? This is why. They already consider me the black sheep. I mean, they're the ones with criminal records as long as your fucking leg. Me, I skipped that one right for the black arts. I'm the black sheep in the family. Yay! Okay. But you get the point and you get the message. So don't buy into the hype. Don't buy into the stupidity. Just wash it off like water. All right? So have a good night, and until next time. I want to thank Men Like Gods, Technicians USA, Behemoth X, get under here, Keshin 86, Mr. Zombie, my brother Behemoth X here, and Stuck in the Woods for jumping in here with me. So I know I ignored most of your little rantings there, stuck in the deep, but it's just stuff I had nothing to say to. So, and the Hermit. Wow. Thanks. I have to say, I believe this is the first time you've been underneath my forum. But welcome to the channel. So, anyways, like I said, I'm going to go hit the ritual room. That's tonight's rite that I'm doing. Like I said in my last video, I've been doing nightly meditations, nightly rituals, dealing with the black scrying mirror, summonings, and evocations. So, well, that's always a good thing. That is a very good thing. A lot of people don't realize it, but when you don't speak, you tend to listen. So, which is actually very much true. I had a coworker from my last job. I used to work for Tractor Supply, and it was funny because he tried everything, from changing shoes to different type, methods of walking, and without even turning around, I always knew it was him. He looked at me one day and said, "How do you do that?" I said, "I listen." So, I mean, there's a lot of things that how should I say this? I want you to take into account a book. It's called Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. He deals with a lot of things on politics, but for the most part, he deals with politics, war, and the public perceptions. Think of Sun Tzu, but in Greek, okay? Not instead of Asian. And then if you go into Shintoism or Buddhism, and let's go with Bushido. That's a prime example right there, I should say, Bushido. You'll notice the warrior's code and how they perceive things from a logical perception. Shintoism is more open-mindedness. It's more spiritual in nature. And when you put that with Bushido, you have the code of a warrior, but at the same time, you're highly spiritual. And when you put these two together, you tend to open up your senses. Being a black magician, a sorcerer, you're doing the exact same thing. In my last video, I actually told people, cover your eyes. Let your other senses go. And you'll be amazed at what happens. Getting that correct posture when you're meditating. Okay? Notice how I just made my back straight. I'm now using my core. Okay? Breathing. Very, very good. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Certain things like the half lotus or the full lotus. For those of you with bad knees, I would not recommend doing that. Trust me on that. Very painful. So get into this stuff, okay? But don't allow the worldly things to persuade you, all right? Use your senses, use your intuition. And I guarantee it, spirits, they'll guide you, all right? Have a good one. I even called my better half, too. I know she called a little bit ago while I was doing this. So, and then a former coworker chimed in. She finally saw that photo I sent. Yeah, I found a photo on Facebook that it showed a pond with a sign, a green and white sign that says "Frog parking only. Others will be towed." Thought that was humorous. But yeah, so like I said, have fun, and yeah, yoga is pretty good. Tai Chi is pretty good as well. But any form of martial arts will do. Any form of discipline, not just Bushido or, say, for example, Mudokwan, Ninjutsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Things like yoga, tantric style meditations. Get into Buddhism. Tibetan monks. Their version of meditation is, let's just say, there's a lot of discipline there, and leave it at that. So, alrighty. But anyways, have a good night, and gotta remember not to hit that one. Gotta end the stream first. So, anyways, have a good night, and until next time.